gamers? I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons we have a first. We are going to be reviewing 2 games in the same video. We're going to decide after we get this created if we're going to actually release 2 separate videos, mainly because of title gore, things like that. Trying to write a review name for this game and this game is just going to look really messy. Also, if you're just looking for one of the games, well, it'll just be a little bit easier to find the content. Now, it's going to become a lot clearer when we discuss the games themselves, especially when we get to our review. Now, the 2 games we have in front of you, if you haven't read the box, or in front of us and in front of you, is Harry Potter Mischief in Diagon Alley, and we've got Merry Madness, and I'll let Julie read the tagline.
An all-out game of frightful flinging.
Designed by Kemi Mandel and published by the Op. Now I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the games themselves.
So these are competitive games that are for ages 6 and above, play 3 to 5 players in about 15 minutes, a little less, a little more, depending on which variant you're playing. And we'd like to thank the Op for the review copies. We'd like to thank you for the support of the channel, but we'd like to remind our viewers that our opinion will remain our own.
Now, the reason why you need 3 players is because this is a competitive, simultaneous dice chucking game. So you're going to have a lot of stuff going on, and it doesn't really work with a lower player count. Now, each game will have a different, couple of different variants. Mischief and Diagon Alley is 3. Merry Madness has 2. Now, the reason we've got both of these games in front of us today is because they are essentially the same game. There are 2 variants that carry across both of them. One, you'll be trying to acquire the same type of a specific item. The other one, you're going to be trying to get all of the stuff essentially out of your trunk, or in this case, off your workshop table. And then you're going to be trying to sort them to have the same of the only one type of item, in this case in your shop in Diagon Alley, hence Mischief and Diagon Alley. And you'll have try to have, just produce the most toys on your workbench. Now there's an extra variant in Mischief and Diagon Alley where you can try to acquire the specific items that you will need to go off to Hogwarts. So there are some minor differences in terms of how stuff is presented based on the theme that you're going to choose to play. So that's why we're going to be doing both of them, because they play they play exactly the same. We played them back to back, and our thoughts on the different variants and the modes that we played are going to be identical, whether we're talking about this one or whether we're talking about this one. Now, like I said, we might do 2 separate videos, but if you listen to one of them, you will not need to go and seek out the other to get any different information, because it's all going to be identical. I think we've talked enough about what we're doing here. This is the first time we're doing it, so if I'm rambling a little bit, but don't worry, we're going to take a look at the components for the games. So we're now going to grab our drink, grab our best friend and fellow Hogwarts student or member of Halloween Town. I should have said resident. Resident's a much better word.
It's okay.
And we're going to start talking about the components and teach you the game. We'll be back with our review. Now I'm going to take a look at the components, the setup, and teach you how to play Mischief in Diagon Alley. So we'll start with the rulebook. It is a very quick rulebook. As you can see here, it's 2 pages, and then the last page which has some different gameplay variations, and you're good to go. We're not going to go into details on the scoring. It is quite clear from the back, and scoring will change in these different gameplay variations. So you've got the galleons here, which are used to score. You've got the different Hogwarts class items. Now, when you are setting up the game, you will have everything on your board except for what goes in your shop. If this is a full 5-player game, there will be nothing that will go in the middle, because all this excess stuff should essentially be on somebody else's board. The other 2 boards are as follows. You can see for the owls, and then Ollivanders for the wand. Now, there is a variant where you'll be trying to get stuff into your case to take to Hogwarts, so the boards are double-sided. Now, how do you play the game? Well, there is a set of 3 dice, and this is a simultaneous action game, so people are going to be rolling their dice all at once. There's another 2 sets that you can see right here that I won't be using. Now, it's very difficult to show a simultaneous game all by myself, but teaching you how to play is fairly straightforward. What you're going to do is you're going to have, I've made a mistake there. I had 2 of the same dice. You've got a die with a location, one with a different item, and then one with a quantity. So you're going to roll the dice, and you can see 1 wild, to the cobblestone. Now that's actually really good to overrule because it's going to let me teach you the game fairly easily. Now in this case, I can send wild, any item, into the cobblestone, but in order to score the most points, I want to get my item into my shop. Since I want brooms, I can pull one broom into my shop from the cobblestone. Now, I can't take books, I can't take frogs, I can't take items that are not mine. The wild would allow me to pull something in order to get a broom. Otherwise, I'd have to roll an actual broom. So play is just going to keep going. You're going to be rolling as fast as you can. So as you can see right here, this is one owl anywhere. So one owl anywhere, you want to chuck it over there. Okay, keep going. I've got one wild, right? Well, I gave you an owl. I'm going to give you another one. Keep going here. Okay. 3 in any direction. Oh, I want to get rid of chocolate frogs. But you know what? He wants chocolate frogs. 3 books anywhere. And I'm going to keep doing that. 1 broom from the right. Now, it's mine. I can take it from the right because I want to get the broom back. So that's how gameplay is going to be going with other players doing the same thing. The goal is to get only your item in your shop. At that point, you're going to say Mischief manage. And then for scoring, I know I said we wouldn't go over it, but we'll do it. It shouldn't take too long. So the player who ended the round automatically gets 3 galleons. Everyone scores 1 galleon for each item that belongs in their shop. You subtract 1 item for every other Hogwarts school supply item in your shop. If your score is positive, you collect the galleons. If your score is lower, well, you do not get the score this round. So that's the way it works. So you got to complete all the dice prompts, get everything into your shop, and be the first player to get to 11 galleons. So I've taught you this way to play the game. We're now going to take a look at Merry Madness, the Nightmare Before Christmas version. And I just want to mention, we'll talk about it more in our in our review. There are 3 different rule sets for Diagon Alley. There are 2 for Merry Madness. This rule set that I've just taught you does work with Merry Madness as well. So we're not going to cover it. I'm going to get it out. I'm going to get it set up on the table. And we'll talk about the core way to play Merry Madness in just a moment. Now we're going to teach you how to play Merry Madness. We'll take a quick look at the components as well. So once again, this is a dice chucking game. You've got very similar dice to what we had in Mischief and Diagon Alley. You've got a rule book that is very similar as well. 2 pages. Then you've got a variant with just some other instructions for the variant on the back. For scoring, we've got these coolish gifts. You also notice that these player boards all have the wish list item. That is to play the variant that we essentially, that is essentially the core game of Mischief and Diagon Alley. There's some really cool art on the boards. It's a 5-player game. There's 2 more boards. You can see when you flip it over, it's from Sally, from Jack. And I really just like the art and the presentation. I definitely think that the op games really did a good job. Now we're not going to take a look at the back of the other player boards. In this variation of the game, you're just trying to get as much stuff off your board into Santa Claus's bag as fast as you possibly can. Once you've cleared your board, you will get a ghoulish gift, and the first player to 3 ghoulish gifts will win. Now, the only way to get things into Santa Claus's bag is to roll the bag. Other than that, you've got, left, right, any direction. So that's pretty cool. You've got the, amount of quantities, the question mark for the wild, and then the symbols for all of the different toys. Now, if you just need a reference, there you go right there, the Christmas toys. You've got the pumpkin in a bot, the zombie duck, Christmas wreath, vampire teddy, snake, left, right, Santa Claus bag, and player's choice. So it's going to be essentially the same thing, except you're just moving as fast as you can, hopefully getting stuff into Santa Claus's bag and off your workbench. So you go 2 wreaths, keep rolling. 1 snake, and put it in the bag. Now, one thing to keep in mind, though, the more stuff you put in the bag, the less stuff you'll have to put on other players' boards. So you're just going to be rolling, like 2 something anywhere. Not anywhere, sorry. 2 something to the right. And just keep rolling. 2 more somethings to the left. You don't really get to see the effect because the other players are going to be emptying out their boards as well. Now, in a 3-player game, you've got a total of 20, but you get the idea. Ideally, eventually, there's going to be all this stuff moved into Santa Claus's bag. The other players will have some stuff on their board, and hopefully, you're the one that will win the game. Now, all of these Christmas toys will be out. How many per player board will depend on the amount of players. In this 3-player scenario, there will be 20 on each player board. While we're taking a look at 2 of the variations of the game, the third is exclusive to Michief and Diagon Alley, so we're not going to go over it. Now keep it right here, as Julie and I will be coming back at you with a review of Michief and Diagon Alley. Sorry, that is a little tricky to say. And Merry Madness. We'll be back in a flash.
Mischief managed!
Now, Julie, what are your thoughts on Michief and Diagon Alley and Merry Madness? If you happen to skip over what I explained in the intro, these games are actually identical. Michief and Diagon Alley has 3 variants that you can play. There are 2 variants in Merry Madness. So since the games are the same, we are reviewing them in one shot because our opinions for either of them are going to be identical. We played them back to back and was kind of surprised to find out that they were essentially the same game, just skinned differently. Don't even really have any different mechanics to them at all. So here you are. Julie, your thoughts.
Well, I wasn't sure at first when I'm like, okay, this is going to take forever, but it didn't. It's a little chaotic. It reminded me a little tiny bit of 5-Minute Dungeon because it's that level of craziness.
Yeah, everyone going at the same time, stuff's going on, a lot of action, a lot of, player interaction too.
Our little guy was really interested in what was going on with all the dice flying everywhere and stuff flying around. And stuff does fly. I mean, the tokens do. We had a couple of times that fists hit each other in the air as we were dropping stuff on somebody else's board. So I mean, it's a lot of laughs and it's a lot of fun. It's a very easy, light game that plays very quickly, very quickly. I think the Merry Madness is the one that lasted the longest. I felt like it took a long time for us to clear our board. I don't know if it was just bad luck rolling.
I think it's just a variant. And just getting everything off your board can be very difficult. Also, the fact that you don't always take stuff out of play. So I do think the rolls have a bit more of a factor when you're trying to essentially clean out your workshop or clean out your suitcase, and can just make it, drag a little bit. It dragged a teeny bit. It wasn't that bad. It was really only one round. We're like, oh my God, when is this round going to end?
Yeah. But I mean, I have to say I had a lot of fun. I mean, it's no surprise we like our Harry Potter games. There aren't many we don't like. We always find something good about them. And this was fun. It was a nice theme to it. I found it kid appropriate. I mean, I'm going to talk about this. This is very much my personal opinion. I've never really been a huge fan of The Nightmare Before Christmas. It creeps me out.
She doesn't like creepy things except the X-Files and Chupacabras.
Yeah, and there's probably other, but this one particularly creeps me out, and I wasn't a huge fan of the artwork, which is very thematic. So this is me. I don't like the theme, but the important thing is you can pick a theme. So if you like this idea, and I think it's a fun game that can be played pretty easily I can see this being played repeatedly, on many occasions. You play it as long as you have time to play. We played it quite a few times, and just we're having a lot of fun. And it's easy for one person to jump out and one person to jump back in instead. I mean, we did it. I went to take care of the little guy, and my sister-in-law took my place, and it was fun. And I think that's, there's definitely a place in a game collection for a game like this. I wasn't bothered. I mean, you're the one that's really bothered by randomness, especially when it comes to dice chucking. What did you feel?
Well, I had no issues with the randomness in this game because it's not that it's mitigated, it's that it's at the core of the entire game philosophy. And the design is based around randomness. What I don't like is when randomness can really swing the game one way or the other. Now, there is a very tiny bit of strategy in the game when it comes to potentially excluding some stuff from play when you do get a wild. So I do like the fact that there is some small deterministic elements. But overall, the game is really just about what you're getting on the dice.
There's a little bit of strategy too, and you have to play your own game, but you have to keep an eye on what's going on with the other players. And a couple of times, we had to gang up on you as your board almost cleared, or you were almost you almost had all of just your element. That's the other thing is when you get a wild and you're looking for brooms, I don't give you brooms unless I'm trying to help you win.
Yeah, and there's also that aspect of the game where if it says send the brooms left and you don't need the brooms, but I need the brooms, you can potentially be helping out your competitors. Now, just to be clear, we played 2 of the different variants. We did not play the variant in this one where you're trying to get specific items to fill your luggage for Hogwarts. So we can't really comment on that. That being said, the core gameplay is going to be the same, chucking the dice, seeing what you get, and trying to achieve your objective.
I mean, so I think I think I've had a lot of positive things to say about it. I do enjoy it. I think they're thematic. I think they're both very thematic. It was
also the components, very good quality, especially since you're going to be picking them up and chucking them down. I really like the fact that there's a lot of thick cardboard.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think definitely one of these two, I can say right away, I'm going to ask Jason to keep this one. He can do what he wants with this one. But this one definitely, I would say for us, we are definitely Harry Potter fans. And, this is going to stay in the collection.
And, well, you said there wasn't much negative to say about the game. I think that the negatives would be that the game can definitely get old if you're playing it too often because it's really the same thing. The variants will give you some variety, but you're not going to get a ton of variety. I do think that this game has a place in basically every gamer's collection because this is the perfect kind of game to take out over the holidays with family. It plays 5 players. You could easily probably make it play more, but you probably have to buy a second box and just kind of mash it all together and go from there. That might get to be a little too chaotic, though, but you can always try if you wanted to. And then the negatives really are that Merry Madness only has 2 variants, and it's essentially the same game. So it really means that there's not a lot of reason to buy this game except for the theme. You're going to be better off day in and day out going with Michief and Diagon Alley because you have that extra variant.
Well, plus you get to say Mischief managed!
Yeah, there wasn't quite a really good tagline in Merry Madness, I don't think, or I just probably missed it because we didn't actually play the variant where you had to get all of one item since we'd already played that in Harry Potter. So there you have it. I think we've really talked enough about the games. I had a lot of my comments when Julie was talking. It's a fun dice throwing game. I don't mind the randomness. I think the randomness actually suits it well. I don't feel like you've got some conflicting elements, which is having a game being highly deterministic, but a lot of stuff. But then you got to roll the dice rolls and you get bupkis. Perfect example of that would be Kick-Ass, the board game where everything is decision, and then you roll the dice and it's like a 50% failure chance, which seems to be more like a 70% failure chance. I still remember you rolling 12 dice and getting zeros.
Stop rehashing it. It's been years. So
yes,
what score will you give it?
So I'm going to give this game 7.5. So for Mischief and Diagon Alley. And for Merry Madness, I'm going to give this actually a 6.5. It's losing 1 full point because of missing a variant. And I think the game, for people that like this type of game that are looking for a good family game, it might even score higher. But based on where it fits in our collection, the fact that I can see it getting old while you're playing the game, if you're playing it a lot, I'm going to give it a 7.5.
So I'm going to go just a little lower. I'm going to give this a 7 and this one a 6.5. This one gets dinged because I don't love the theme.
So there you have it. We've reviewed 2 games, 2 for the price of 1, and we also taught you how to play both of those games. So make sure you let us know down below.
Well, first I'm going to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
Exactly. So leave those comments down below. We were really curious, like to find out if this actually worked. And also down there in the video description, you'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You'll find pictures of Julie and I playing both of the games on our feeds. Not sure how they'll be released, but they'll be there eventually. So if you want to see anything else that may be coming up on the channel, you should definitely check it out. Also, if you're looking to pick up a copy of either of these games or any game from the up, make sure you click the link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. It's just in time for the holidays. You'll get 10% off your next purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel. The portion of that purchase is returned to us. And then popping up in front of us will be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release, and in front of Julie will be another dice game. Thanos Rising, something like that.
I was going to say, should be another
Death Eater's Rising. Death Eater's Rising. There we go. So dice and Harry Potter theme. And on that note, we're now going to
grab our drink.
Grab our fellow student, since, we're no longer residents of Halloween Town.
And we're going to keep playing games.
Keep playing games. We're definitely going to get these back to the table. Well, this one for sure soon.